Jay-Z was in the roped off bit, and I knew him and Jay were kind of tight. I didn't know he was about to sign to Rockefeller.
Daft Punk is on their way. And they were like, what is that? And I was like, Jesus Christ.
I could basically pee into the bathroom from my bed. It was that tight. It was ridiculous. Yeah. Because Seb and Leo used to buy records off me. Ronson would come in. That's how I met Ronson. He came into the store buying records.
Oh, of course.
I swear, did I meet J-Roo the Damager in your...
Yes, you did. He was a regular.
Can I be so bold as to say this could be an extension of what went down on a Monday night? This is the Monday night in visual form, because it's people just vibing and just kicking it and just talking shit.
Hey there, it's me, Roxy Cottontail. You might know me as a DJ, artist, designer, and New York City party promoter, or from my bunny logo. I'm putting all that on the table and writing about the years that transformed music and the New York City scene. I've interviewed 250 friends and colleagues I admire. I ask all and reveal all. Please join me in the tales to rediscover the 90s and the Y2K magical landscape of music, art, technology, and streetwear. This is Roxy's Tales.
Yeah, my name is Kish Kash, and I'm from London. Well, I'm not from London. I live in London, actually from Aylesbury, a small town outside of London. Thus, it was a hub of so much creativity back in the day. And I'm blessed. I wouldn't be here now if I wasn't from there.
Yeah.
My guest this week on Roxy's Tales is a streetwear connoisseur, sneaker collector, and music and culture historian, my bruv, Kish Kash. In our interview, Kish and I throw it back to the 90s, when he was working at record stores in London, visiting New York City to collect exclusives and meet like-minded visionaries of streetwear. Kish's experience and love of fashion merged into a distribution of goods in the Y2K era. His eye for style and gift for digging has influenced many. It is an honor to share the history behind Kish's selective curation that continues to stand the test of time. Without further ado, Kish Kash.
Right now, I do a radio show on Soho Radio. Having a show on there is a great privilege. I mean, I've been on radio now 20 plus years in one shape or one form or another, depends on what station. But the community that surrounds that station is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm up there with some legends as well. I mean, you got people like James Lavelle on there. He's a good friend. You've got Mike Pickering, legendary DJ within the house scene and the movement since day one. There's so many people, so many names that are on that, so yeah, it's phenomenal to be on there. I feel very proud. It's a family, and it's super eclectic, so many different things going on. You can go from Simone Marie, who's in Primal Scream, she's doing her show, to Oxman, who's doing his reggae show, all the way flipping it, to Mike Pickering doing his classic, house, all the way to me dropping brand new hip hop. It's just, there's something for everyone on there. And now they've got the New York one as well. So yeah, it's wicked. Other things that I do, I work with brands in different ways, either, sort of working with them with regards to campaigns and all that kind of stuff, giving input, giving my insight, opening my black book up, and involving people as well. It's not about just me. It's about involving and putting everyone else into play. You want to have a strong team. So if I know somebody's a photographer, or it's pretty much like how you do and have done and have inspired so many yourself through what you've done. And it's we bring these people in because they got that talent, boom, 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 we put them into the mix. And so it's a privilege to be able to do that. And what else do I do? Sneakers. I do sneakers, and I do fashion. I do street style, because I used to have my distribution company, my streetwear distribution company back in the day with my homie Charlie, who's now in New York. But we had straight up distribution. We used to do Mishka, we used to do 10 Deep, we used to do Double Goose, Art in Transit, Staple. That's how I met Jeff and Nico, who are still good friends to this day. And what they're doing is fantastic, especially for Asians, because I'm Asian, I'm Indian, and they're from further, they originate further east, but we're all Asian, and it's important that Asians get the recognition as well for their contributions to this whole thing. We may not have started it, but we have definitely interfaced with it, and and I'm sure people will agree that we've contributed to it, and that contribution shouldn't be dismissed. The whole nine, really. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
When did you start DJing?
Oh, well, you know what? I collected records for many years, just bugging people in record stores and getting access to all the promos and stuff like that. But I guess it was just a gradual thing, because I had all these records, but you're a DJ. I'd say I'm more of a selector. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a difference. I mean, DJs practice in and out, and they're on the cut, or they're in the mix all the time. Whereas I've got so much other stuff going on that basically I've never had the discipline or the time or whatever to get fully involved with that.
Yeah.
But yes, I had a massive record collection before I started DJing. Then I started working at record stores, and then you just sort of play about on the decks. You know, I used to work at Mr. Bongo, which was a store in Soho.
What year was this?
That must have been 98 or 99.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to another record store called Major Flavors, which was very seminal, because the thing is, I went from the independent sort of side of things with Mr. Bongo, so then have like Fondle and Raucous records and all that kind of stuff in the bins, and all the classic hip hop, to Major Flavors, where it's all the jiggy shit, right? And we would have all the promos. We'd have records that weren't even available in New York, because the US used to send all the records, you know, to this store. And I was working there, and I had people like Tim Westwood, Steve Sutherland, rest in peace, all the big people, you know, coming in, you know, and buying off me. Do you know what I mean? Which is crazy. And we were breaking records. You know, we'd put out so much stuff. I mean, I remember we got the grinding promo in, and we were like, what the hell is this? We're putting it on. We're trying to get our head around it. So we put it on the rack, and then people started coming in, the DJs coming in, go, what's that? Go, what's the new Neptunes? And everyone was kind of familiar with the Neptunes because of their production, but this was their first thing. And it was just like, okay. And they put it on, go, it's interesting. But anyway, how incredibly revolutionary is that track now? I mean, you know, the beat is bananas. It's like, you know, when you first heard the Schoolie D PSK beat, it's like, yo, what the hell is that? It's when you first heard the bridge, you're like, whoa, what is that? Do you know what I mean? It's that level of beat. It's like, you know, it transcends, you know, the sort of microcosm it occupies.
Do you know how we met?
How did we meet? Gosh. Well, you know what? The thing is, I knew of your name way before we met. Well, I mean, you know, you're kind of synonymous with the downtown scene, and it was just like, yo, Roxy, do you know what I mean? And everyone's talking about you. And the thing is, you put so many people at the play, and you got to get your props. You got to get your flowers.
This was the second.
Oh yeah.
This was the second time that I played in London, I think.
Right. Yeah. I remember
and
that.
This was at my favorite place, Plastic People.
Yeah, Plastic People.
And I don't know, one of the nights that we went, there was a lock-in. Do you remember this?
Probably. I take your word for it. I love how you know this.
I have recordings of it. Like Ace said, being like, we're heading into a lock-in, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And little do you know, you find out that you're locked in the club.
Oh yeah. I remember that. That's true. Yeah.
And going late.
Late. Yeah.
Where were you going out in London? And had you come to New York yet already, or what?
Oh yeah, my first trip to New York was 91. My first trip to New York was 91. Then it was 94, and then it was 98.
Were you going out? Like you were in the...
But 98, oh yeah, I went out. Oh yeah.
And so were you like in the mix with the streetwear scene by then, right? You were, because you were in record stores.
Yeah, exactly. And well, it's kind of funny because in 94, when I was mooching around the market in Soho, I came across this British guy. And I was bugged out because it was a British guy in the middle of New York in a market store, and I was thinking, what the hell is this, in the center of London or what? And it was kind of funny. So we got chatting, and he was going, oh yeah, you know, you should go check out my brother's shops. And I'm thinking, well, he's a British guy, and he goes, yeah, you should go check out Stussy, and you should go check out his new one over there. I didn't think much of it, and I'm thinking, this guy, what the fuck is he talking about, man? He's bullshitting, man. He's a British guy saying he owns this and that. How does a British guy, you know, own Stussy, you know, the store? So I was a bit like, whatever, you know what I mean? Then flip it to like 97 when I moved to Brighton, and I'm hanging out at my boy Ed's streetwear store called the 145 store. And this girl walks in, and then we're wearing Supreme and shit. And she's like, oh, that's my brother's company. And I was like, what? And I was going, yo, you ain't the first person to say that, right? And she goes, what? And I tell her the story about the dude in New York in 94. And she goes, oh, that's my brother Dan. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, that's my brother Dan. I was like, get the hell out of here. So basically, she goes, yo, if you go to New York, hit my brother up. So I was like, all right, cool. So in 98, I hit Dan up. I get in touch with Dan. He goes, yeah, don't worry, I'll look after you and blah, 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 and all that lot. So he showed me around and stuff. So I got introduced to Gio and Aaron. And I got introduced to, but the thing is, I also was working at a record store as well. So I had links in New York kind of as well. So I wanted to go, I think I went up to Raucous and I met this guy called Dilo, who was a British guy as well, I think, or half British. And he took me in. So when Dan looked out for me, I was staying in a hotel. Dan looked out for me, and then I met Gio and Aaron. He took me to the store and stuff like that. And then I was in a club, and then I was, Gio and Aaron were there as well. And I was with Dan, and I think Mark Ronson was DJing before I knew Ronson. And then, but the tunes were banging, and that was on Houston. There was a club on Houston, and then I hooked up with Dilo, and then we went to this club in the Meatpacking District, and I get in, walking around, and then this is when Stretch had turned jiggy, right? He got thugged out, right? So I was all these like backpack, I was into hip hop, 100, but I was like, so he's playing freaking CNN Blood Money, and it used the substitution, right? The Melvin Bliss break, and I'm like, I got some guys, I'm stood next to him at the decks. He's like, we're having shits and gigs or whatever. I go, dude, you can't be playing that track. The fucking breaks played that. He goes, nah, this is a hot record, like that, blah, blah. And it is a hot record, right? It is a hot record. But I was like, you can't be doing that. I was very puritanical about, you can't use playback samples. I think that is that back then. Now it's whatever. Do you know what I mean? But I was bugging out. Then I see Big L in the crowd. So I go over to him and go, yo, you don't remember me? I goes, oh, yeah, blah, 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 chatting to him like that. Boom, boom, boom. And then Jay-Z was in the roped off bit, and I knew him and Jay were kind of tight. I didn't know he was about to sign to Rockefeller, but I'm like, yo, you should be behind that. You should be behind that roped off bit there where Jay is, like that. Do you know what I mean? No disrespect to Jay, but I think you're sicker. Do you know what I mean? Like that. And then he goes, yo, do you know who this is? And I was like, nah. He goes, this is Herb McGruff. And then I started going, yo, East Police and all these other tracks that never came out. And McGruff did. And they were like bugged out. They were like, oh, what? Like that. So that was my third time in New York. My primary thing in New York, two things. One, you go hunting for vinyl, rare shit. Two, you get those exclusive kicks. And three, you get those exclusive, the exclusive apparel. That was it. That was the prerequisite. Going out, that was another thing. But that was the whole thing for going to New York. It's just like going, boom, let's go hunt everything down. Just go down the back street. What's going on here? What's going on there? And just investigating shit, just like I did for years in London and wherever else I've been. So yeah, my links with New York started getting stronger and deeper pretty quickly, pretty promptly.
When did you start coming to my parties? Do you know?
Probably 2006 or 7.
Yeah, because I think around 2006 was when, because it was always Mondays at Sway.
That's right.
Was Retail Mafia Monday. So a lot of these brands that you're mentioning, like Sir and A-Life, A New York Thing, Frank 151 was part of it too. It was their Monday night, and I would do once a month. And eventually my once a month grew bigger and bigger. Yeah. And I just took it over. So by 2006, it was,
it was weekly, right?
I was yeah.
Which is intense, because to throw a party every week to the level that you did, involving the guests, like the vibe and everything without diminishing it. Wow.
Yeah, that's 8 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the most seminal club nights that I've ever been to, yours is one of them. And then you got Scratch used to be one. There's ones earlier than that, but really hit the heights, I think, in the 2000s. So Scratch was a massive night here. It was the hub of hip hop and the who's who of hip hop on a certain tip, not the jiggy tip, but on the sort of more keeping it real tip. Let's leave it. But basically, that was like crossing from the 90s into the noughties. But then it was like a place like Yo-Yo. I mean,
that was 2000s. I mean, I went to that in 2005. Yeah. Was my first trip to London.
Well, we must have met then there, or something like that.
Well, Mark was playing.
Probably then.
Amanda was rapping.
Amanda Blank.
Yes, Amanda Blank.
Oh my, yeah, I think I was there. Because
Really?
yeah. Because Seb and Leo used to buy records off me. Ronson would come in. That's how I met Ronson. He came into the store buying
Oh,
records.
of course. This was at Plastic People.
Holy
I don't know. I must have had a gig, but I don't know what was happening, but we all met up and.
I don't think anyone knows what was happening. But the thing
Yeah.
is that we were there and we were vibing. I think that's the trick.
Well, one of my favorite memories of this night was, I guess, like kind of like the introduction for me for dubstep, because I felt like we were underwater.
Oh, did we go to Co-op then? Did I take you to Co-op?
Oh, maybe.
Or was it Forward? What was
Forward. This was Forward.
Forward.
So you were always like welcome into nightlife and music.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, since as a kid, you know,
Yeah.
I was going to Giles Peterson nights. I was going to Westwood jams. We were going wherever the thing was because the people I was surrounded by were making music. You know, like one of my friends who I grew up with is a guy called Conrad, and he was the MC for Bookham. So it was LTJ Bookham and Conrad. So it's Bookham and Conrad with the team. So he was the DJ and he was the MC. So that whole drum and bass thing right from the start, we were there. Even though I didn't really mess with it, I'd go along, but I didn't quite get it. I like it now, but back then I was super hip hop. Do you know what I mean? I got to house nights as well. Like Danny Rampton would throw something at the Milk Bar for some or whatever, and that was pre-Speed, which was at Mars, which was the club that Milk Bar became after. And it was behind the Astoria, just off Charing Cross Road, and it's sadly been razed to the ground. But you know, so there's. I mean, we were there, and my boy Robbie, he was the producer of a group called Caveman, which was signed to Profile Records, the same as like Run DMC Special Ed, which is based in Easy Rock, and that kind of thing, and it's a big deal. And so he was getting invited by Westwood and Giles Peterson to go to all these things, so we were with him. We were there from the get. So we were in the mix, and then I'd hang out in South London at a short store called Liberty Grooves, which is where I met Ty, who passed away, the guy that I told you about. Big Ted, Shorty Blitz, and all that lot, and Mark B, rest in peace, the creators, all these great people, DJ Vadim, all them lot, right? I met them on the early, just through the love of music.
You're a personable person, like I know you, and I can't imagine you ever not feeling comfortable, but sometimes people are intimidated by nightlife.
It was just I don't know, just trying to interface with life and just get involved, going deep.
So what other brands, well, you've mentioned a lot of brands and artists, but who do you think was really pushing the needle back then?
Well, Supreme, you can't get away from Supreme in the mix. The way that James would give opportunities for kids, skater kids, who, let's be real, weren't talented enough to go pro, but were talented, were just dope, and they just had a vibe and they had skills. They're way better skaters than I was, and they give them opportunity to work in a store. Got to give it up to Trey and Rob and that lot and them peeps. I thought they did, throwing it into the ends, the underbelly of the Lower East Side where no one wished to tread at that time. They really stimulated that, to be honest. Well, I mean, the thing is, there was that whole Karma Loop-esque sort of thing going on with the first wave of streetwear. Pegleg, do you remember Pegleg?
They hosted a lot of parties from me.
Right word. Mishka. Got to shout out, Greg and Michael Cohen, man, who was holding it down there. He's still a friend to this day, and he's an absolute legend, what he did for them. So I remember Clark Kent taking me to 255 Elizabeth, which, before, I think a year, maybe before that, or 2 years before that. So Clark took me to, because I'd met Clark when I was working in the record stores in town. He came in. And we just started kicking it.
Like he was playing in gigs in London back then?
I don't know why he was over. I presumably he was.
Yeah.
But I met him because he came in the record store.
Yeah.
And I think how I got introduced to him was via Ramos. Do you remember Ramos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the name, I don't know the face.
Yeah, he was a mad hustler. He was funny. He was the guy who was flipping kicks. Boom, 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 to all the rappers and stuff.
Was this Sneakerpedia?
Yo, that was the launch of Sneakerpedia. That was in the Hudson Hotel, right? That I do remember. It was a new hotel, and it was the one where I was staying, right? And the original bed room they gave me, my legs came off the end of the bed because the bed was that short. So I had to ask him to switch rooms. I was like, yo, I could basically pee into the bathroom from my bed. It was that tight. It was ridiculous.
We're so
Yeah, it was one of these like nouveau style hotels where it's like very modular.
Here's you and
I
Bun.
don't know the basement of that. That's when I met Bun. Now this is the mad thing, right? I met Bun in the lobby, right? I was coming up the escalator into the Hudson or wherever it was, and I see these sneakers, and it's the Air Trainer SC2s, right? They hadn't come out, and I was going to bug in out. I was like, who is? And I see the sneakers first. I go, Joe, where'd you get those? I look up and shout, that's Bun B. Like that. And then we kicked it. Do you know what I mean? We bonded over kicks. You haven't actually asked me about Sway yet.
I know. So what was your experience like at Sway, and how do you think that defined the times?
It was very hazy. Yeah, it was so hazy. I'm like, yeah. I mean, the thing is, the drinks were free flowing. I mean, can you blame me? It was like, and yeah, there were certain other things in the mix as well that would lend themselves to the haziness. But yo, because I remember being there was the back room, right? That's where I was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I was with or what I was doing. But
probably.
Have you got any photographs?
I do.
Did you have, what, was Kareem Black one of your photographers, or Mel D. Cole or someone like that?
Cool.
Right. Sway was family. It was community. It was gaining inspiration from everyone, just, you know, not intentionally, of consequences, just having fun, just no pretense, you know, with the people who were there, we just get twisted and wouldn't care how we acted, really, basically. It was just loose. And it was just the best. It was the best way. It was freedom, I'd say. Yeah, it was a lot of absolutely, you know, the freedom that we had there. But the music was always on point. It was just 100 every time. So the DJs, I don't even know who was DJing. I'd be real. I don't even know if he was DJing. I don't even know. I was just like, the music was always on point. I swear, did I meet J. Rue the Damager in your?
Yes, you did. He was a regular.
Okay, before we moved to Berlin. Yeah, he's an interesting chap, Mr. J. Rue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would come regularly. I remember I interviewed A-Track and he said something similar. Like, right. J. Rue would always be there. And I was like, yeah. Who were your favorite DJs, artists? I mean, you've mentioned a lot already.
What, in the New York club scene?
Yeah.
Oh, this girl called Roxy. She's fucking banging. She kick it in the mix, 100. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. No, I mean, no, I'm serious. You're up there, 100%. We had some, even wherever I was at, whichever part of the world I was at, and you was DJing, you know what I mean? It was all funny.
Do you have any memorable or iconic interactions during this time, either at my events or in New York?
I remember being with Mike Malbon, and it was some club in the not in Midtown, but lower than that, in between. Mm-hmm. And we were in the club, and then I ended up going next door with him, and we're in a strip club.
Oh, that's room service.
Okay.
Room service was connected to a strip club called Tens.
Right. Then you could just walk through the door at the back, through in.
Yeah. And
I ended up doing that. I was like, yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
What was going on? I haven't got a clue. Who, you know, but yeah. But
I actually posted a story time with Roxy about my experience bringing Daft Punk to that strip club.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Because MIA wanted to bring them to my party, but for whatever reason, it was either dead randomly that night or it was late, you know, and everyone had left. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I can't bring them here. And so I said to the owners, like, Daft Punk is on their way. And they were like, what is that? And I was like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. And I think this guy, DJ Fashion from LA, was spinning, and he was like, it's a big deal. You've got to like take care of them. Wow. And so the owners were like, well, if they wear like, you know, space helmets, how do we know it fits them? And I was like,
they're not going to turn up wearing space helmets.
I was like, well, I don't know if it's them either, but you have to fucking believe me.
Yeah. And
so I took them to the strip club.
Wow. You had this crew that you had was so deep and so loyal to you, and hopefully and presumably still are. Man.
Do you have questions for me?
What has been the most surprising anecdote that's completely taken you by surprise, or the one that's left a very indelible mark on you that you didn't realize, and you've been pretty humbled by it?
Well, you know, I think in general, like, I knew what I was doing was really important, but I don't think I knew like how much it had impacted, especially Sway on Mondays, how much it had really formed a culture. And, you know, it was like, you knew that on a Monday you could roll up there alone and find someone that you knew or would be friends with, because everyone was cool.
That's a great point. You know, it was like Cheers. It was literally like Cheers. You know, you had Ted Danson behind the bar, you had Cliff and Norm on the
It was behind the bar.
Boys would walk in, right? You know, it was literally like that. Can I be so bold as to say this could be an extension of what went down on a Monday night? This is the Monday night in visual form, because it's people just vibing and just kicking it and just talking shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Acting in a way. And that's what you're trying to represent. And you're trying to represent the network and the myriad of personalities and, you know, the different voices from where they are now, but in comparison to what they were then. I mean, I have to say, you know, what you did was one of the best things I've ever been to. The legacy is still happening, still manifesting. It hasn't died.
Thanks for hopping by. That's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and stalk. Bounce, little kitty.